National Missing Children's Day is celebrated on May 25, 2014. National Missing Children's Day has been commemorated in the United States since 1983, when it was first proclaimed by President Ronald Reagan. In recognition of this year's event, HyperLocal Television invited Joanne Lowitzer to share her experience of the continued search for Allie.
Allie was born on February 3rd, 1994. From the day she knew what a crayon did, that was her favorite thing in the whole world. Give her some paper and something that would make marks on it, whether it be a pencil, marker, or crayon, she would be at it for hours. As she got older, she developed those skills very wonderfully. She became a very good artist. She loved to draw portraits. She has drawn several different family members and friends. We had several pamphlets for a summer program that we were looking at sending her to for a week that her art teacher had given her. So we were looking into that. I wasn't too keen on her spending a week in a different state without me, but I was excited that her art teacher thought about giving her the opportunity to go spend a week at an art college. So we were both pretty excited about that. Well, April 26th, 2010 was a typical Monday for me and Allie. We got up, she went to school, I went to work. Throughout the day, she would randomly text me about making plans after school to go to work. And after she got off the school bus, there was an eyewitness that saw her stop at the corner, look like make a couple of text messages, and then turn and walk towards Treshwig, which would have been the street that she would have had to get on to go to work. That evening when I got home, she wasn't there, which, that in my mind I'm like, okay, she must have been able to work. So a little time went by. I texted her and she didn't reply, so I figured that she was busy, and she just wasn't able to text back at the moment. So I just kind of, give her some time, and some time went by. It was getting a little bit late. I thought it was a little too much time that went by where she didn't reply to me. So I sent her another text message, and I said, if you're closing, let me know what time to come get you. And still didn't get any response. And I know that the latest that I've picked her up is around 9 o'clock. So it was a few minutes before 9 o'clock, and I decided to just drive up there. Because I was like, well, if I'm not going to get a text message back, I'm just going to let her know that I'm going to be there to pick her up anyway. And I pull up in front of the burger barn, and all the lights are off, and nobody is there. So at that point, trying to think of what else I needed to do, I call her father John, and I'm in tears, and through my tears I'm trying to tell him that Allie was supposed to be at work and she's not there. And I've called her friends and nobody has seen her, nobody knows where she is. We call law enforcement that evening, and they get to the house fairly quickly, and the officer walks in and asks us, how old she is, what she looked like, when did you last speak to her, some other questions, and just wrote everything down. And as she was walking out the door, she said, just call us tomorrow when she comes home. And I had to think about that for a second. I'm like, what if she doesn't come home? And she turned around and looked at me and gave me a funny look, and she's like, well, just call us tomorrow. And I'm thinking, okay, you're not going to do anything about it tonight? I know she didn't run away. She still had her purse with $40 in it in her on her bedroom floor and her cell phone charger. I mean, what teenage girl would go anywhere without her cell phone charger? After 2 days of Allie being missing and not getting any help from law enforcement or local law enforcement, the Girl Scout Council downtown Houston, I have a friend there, she told me to call the Laura Recovery Center. And I had never heard of the Laura Recovery Center before. And I'm like, well, okay, what is it, you know? So she convinced me to call the Laura Recovery Center, and I remember it was 11:30 at night, and their website says, you know, 24/7. As much as I don't like to bother people, you know, she helped us get Allie registered with NCMEC, which is National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is a national database for, you know, missing children and young adults. Anywhere across the U.S., they're able to go into that system and view photographs and even, you know, enter details, you know, of what the child looks like, and it could bring up possibilities. I think it was day 4 that Allie was missing. They started organizing ground searches. So Allie's case was passed from Precinct 4 to the Harris County Runaway Division. Really nice ladies actually going out and working the case. And I'm not sure exactly what happened after that, but Allie's case was eventually moved to Harris County Homicide. We were told because they had more resources, they would be able to do more, you know, as far as trying to find Allie. The local community in Spring have been such a wonderful support system for me. You know, I think we've had a fundraiser every year since Allie went missing. For other parents, I would tell them, you know, first of all, call law enforcement and report your child missing. If you do think that someone did take them and they didn't leave on their own, then call NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And let your family know, let your friends know. Go to every single one of your friends' house and look for your child. Don't just sit there and wait, you know, for somebody else to do something, because nobody else is going to do anything like you can yourself. Just be proactive, you know, keep up with your child's friends and the circle of friends that they run with, and have current photographs, and if you have their fingerprints on those little tiny cards that they get in elementary school or daycare, keep them. Because when Allie was in daycare, they made those little ID cards for them with her fingerprints on them, and from those they were able to enter them in the national database.
If you should have any tips or leads regarding Alexandria Lowitzer's disappearance on April 26, 2010, please go to www.alexandrialowitzer.com. If you should have any information to share on any missing children, please contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678.